Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, welcome back to the Tales of Hope podcast. I am your host, Nick McNamara. It's been a while since we've done an interview. I know last week, if you listened, I did the downtown stores, just a few of them, but covered some of those. Now we're going to get back into an interview, and hopefully this is going to be the start of something good coming out of this. This is only the third student that I have interviewed, and this could potentially lead into more. We'll find out about that. I'll let you guys know in the future. But before we get into the show, we got to do, all the social media like we always do. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Tales of Hope Podcast. On Instagram and Twitter at Tales of Hope Pod. That is, one word, all lowercase. YouTube, you can find us on there, Tales of Hope Podcast. To be honest, I am debating whether or not we're going to keep that YouTube channel going. It seems as though the actual podcast format is a lot better than the YouTube format, and it's a little less work for me if we don't do YouTube, so gonna see about that. If you have any ideas about that, please let me know. You can also email the show. That is storiesofhopepod@gmail.com. Again, that is storiesofhopepod@gmail.com. You can email in any questions, any comments, any reviews. If you are someone from Hope or the Holland community and you feel like you want to come on the show, you can email me there as well, and we can work on getting you on. That would be, aside from social media, the main area of communication for the show. I don't have any show notes up or anything, so I'm trying to pull this all out of my head, so don't have a follower of the week or a podcast of the week this time. Hopefully going to bring that back next week. We'll see. But I'm very excited about this one. Like I said, this is only the third student, so it's going to be a little different than all the professors and all the coaches that we've had on in the past. But I am happy to be bringing on someone who actually, this is the first time I've ever met. And let's get into it. The guest this week is Emma Haas.
Hi there, it's nice to be here.
So, before we kind of get back into, your backstory, kind of give us a little bit of info about you right now.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Emma Haas. I'm a junior here at Hope College. I'm double majoring in Japanese and English with a creative writing emphasis, and I'm looking to graduate a semester early.
Nice. Awesome. All right, so, take us back. Let's go all the way back. Talk about growing up for us.
All right. So I was actually born and raised around Beaverton, Oregon. So it's about 20 minutes outside of Portland.
Okay.
Probably the biggest impacting thing that happened in my life around that time was when I was 2 and just turned 3. My parents actually divorced. They split up.
Okay.
So I grew up with my mom, a single mom. She raised me as a single mom for essentially my entire life. My dad also, I had visitation rights, so I went and visited him every Monday, Wednesday, and every other weekend kind of thing. So it was really interesting because I don't really remember a time where my parents were together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting to hear different stories about how people have grown up with their families and such.
Yep. Yeah, I know my parents are now divorced, but they were separated ever since I was in 5th or 6th grade, so it was kind of different, especially seeing other families too.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
But how did that affect you?
There's no real good answer for me to give. I mean, divorce affects everybody in a different way.
Right, exactly.
So, and because mine was so young, I don't really have anything to compare it to.
Right.
So definitely it feels a bit more independent. I'm able to be on my own
Right.
for a very good amount of time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. And did you stay there out in, Beaverton?
Yeah, Beaverton,
Did you
Oregon.
you grow up there for most of your life, or?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I lived there with my mom in the same house until I was graduated from high school.
Okay.
My
Wow.
dad moved around a lot though.
Mhm.
He had a bunch of different jobs. And in 6th grade, he actually moved to North Carolina, where he is now.
Okay.
So that was a really hard transition in my life
Mhm.
because it was happening around such like a formational period. It happened when I was in 6th grade.
Gotcha.
So, I don't, just for the record, like, I don't blame either of my parents for this. I don't have any resentment or anything.
No, yeah. Good.
I totally understand it, like, what needed to happen happened.
Mhm.
But I think it was hard, even understanding this, it was hard to not have him there for some of the more formational periods of my life.
Yeah. Okay. So you said he moved. So you're saying he moved out to North Carolina. How was that with the visitation rights? Like that, especially that trip. How often was that? Just a holidays sort of thing, or?
Yeah, so, most of the time we did Skype.
Okay.
And I think usually every like Veterans Day weekend, because it was a long weekend, he would fly out here or fly out there, I guess.
Yeah.
And we would spend a long weekend together, and then over the summer I would go out to North Carolina and visit them for about a month.
Okay. Okay. So, did that affect you, bother you in any way, having to the travel?
Yeah, it was definitely a really big change from being able to see him, several times a week to not at all. So that was probably 7th grade was the hardest year of school that I've ever had, probably because of that. It's really hard because then I didn't have any real family in the area other than my mom.
Right.
And I had like an aunt and uncle in the area, and then everybody else was spread across the United States.
Gotcha.
So it was really kind of difficult to not have all of those like familial connections that all of my friends had.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Okay. Well, what about, I guess growing up, kind of maybe outside of the school, like what did you do what were your interests, I should say?
So, ever since I can remember, I've had a passion for Japan.
Okay.
I don't really know when it started or how it started.
Mhm.
I just figured it was kind of a God thing,
Right.
that like he gave me this passion for
Yeah.
this country. I really started being able to explore that more in middle school. That was a time where I like became interested in like the real staple items of Japanese culture,
Right.
like food. It was anime, manga, those
Yep.
kinds of things. And I really, really did enjoy them.
Okay.
I found them incredibly interesting. And then in high school, I was actually able to start learning the language officially.
Okay.
So I took 4 years of Japanese in high school, and I did the AP test,
Yep.
which is, I don't know what you guys call that here. It's like IB or like the advanced course.
Yeah. Well, I know what my high school was AP. Yeah.
So I did take that, and once I got to Hope, I was able to go into 300 level as a freshman.
Wow.
Because I learned everything up until that point. So it's been a really big part of my life, being able to like know more and learn more about this amazing culture and like all of its like ups and downs and history and everything like that. I think it's just been really, really amazing.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I can't imagine, I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get talking about college, but just taking the 300 level right off the bat, was that like fall semester?
Yeah, so that was my first semester.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, don't let me forget about that, because I definitely want to hear what that experience was like.
Yeah, sure.
So, all right. Well, let's go on to high school now. Talk about what was that like for you?
All right. So I went to Beaverton High School, which is, down the street from my house. I had a lot of friends in middle school that also went to that school. So it was really kind of interesting to starting high school. I remember for like orientation, they had orientation like the week before school started, and I was so scared of my school because it was so big.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm going to get lost during every class.
How large was it?
There's 4 buildings on the campus. The main building is 2 stories, then the cafeteria is 2 stories, then there's Merle Davies that used to be an elementary school.
Wow.
And the West Annex, which is actually across the street. But
are we talking about high school or college here?
no, it's a high school. It was only
Wow.
like 2,000 students.
Only?
Yeah.
For someone who graduated a class of 72?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, wow. So, yeah, I could see why you felt like you might get lost there.
Yeah, definitely.
But, so, I guess you kind of got lost in the crowd with a school that size. What was that kind of like?
Well, it was kind of interesting because, in high school, and especially in larger high schools, you kind of find a bunch of, like, smaller groups of friends that you have shared interest with.
Yep.
So, like, for a while, there was, like, the Japanese people who, like, liked manga and anime like I did at that time.
Yeah.
And then you had, like, the band kids, and then you had the choir kids, and then you had theater kids, and jocks, sport, like, all those, like, stereotypical high school things.
Yeah.
And, so I was in band. I was a band kid. And so I found a lot of my friends both just coming back from middle school and then in those kind of, like, interest groups as well.
Okay. So, as outside of band, was there any other extracurriculars that you did, or?
I'm trying to remember. It feels like so long ago. It's been
Right?
3 whole years. No, I did a lot of writing.
Okay.
So I was in creative writing club for a while. I did band and I did color guard for the last 2 years of high school.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what else. I did some photography as well.
Okay.
And there was a Japan club at my school, but it was, like, really tiny.
Yeah.
And I did, like, choir at church. I did a lot of, like, volunteering stuff as well.
Oh, nice.
So,
what kind of photography did you do? Was it nature, or did you people?
generally I like to do nature photography, and it's still probably one of my favorite things to do. Just, like, really close up stuff of, like, textures and colors and things like that.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, it was just fun.
Is that something you still pursue today?
Yeah, I got myself a camera not too long ago.
Nice.
And I took a photography class last semester. So it's been really fun.
I bet. I've never had that skill, so I'm always jealous when I see people taking the pictures, like the really good quality ones. But what got you kind of started in that?
I took a photography class after one of my best friends, Sabrina, had taken it, and she's like, Emma, you gotta try this. And so I took it because, the school had cameras.
Right.
So we were able to, like, borrow those and go out and take pictures on our own.
Okay.
And I really liked being able to explore it because I had, like, really simple point and shoot digital camera. But you can only, like, do so much with those kinds of things.
Right.
And I didn't really know how to operate it in the best sense. So I took it and I had an amazing time, and it was really fun.
Nice.
Learning all the different kinds of things you can do with a camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Let's see. Okay, so that was high school. Did you do anything between high school and college? Like anything that summer that was memorable that helped shape you?
Yeah, definitely. So, my mom prides herself in her ability to kind of stay constant when everything else is changing.
Right.
And I really admire her for that. But I remember, I think it was like halfway through junior year, we were sitting at dinner one night, and she asked me what I thought about moving to Chicago. And at that point I was like, oh, this is like a theoretical question because like she grew up there.
Right.
And so I was like, sure. I mean, I think it would be cool. I think it'd be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she was serious.
Oh.
And I didn't quite understand that at that time.
Oh, yeah.
So we did move. We moved to Lombard, Illinois, which is a western suburb. That's where she grew up. And I think that summer was probably one of the hardest summers I've had. Because, growing up there, like, I had all my friends there. I had, like, my roots, my history there. And I'm going to this place where I knew absolutely no one.
Right.
And I think for anybody who's moved anywhere else, they know that exact feeling.
Right, exactly.
So
how did you adapt to that?
It was really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was at such an awkward time. We moved at the end of August, so we had, like, 3 weeks until school started.
Right.
And our moving truck was actually late.
Oh.
So it got there 4 or 5 days before I was supposed to go to school.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was just me and my mom and my dog. And we drove 4 days across the country. And we listened to, like, this series by Timothy Keller.
Okay.
During the car ride, which is really interesting. And then we tried to get out of the house, at least once a day.
Right.
But, like, when you don't know anybody, it's really hard.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So, hopefully you at least had some of your stuff with you.
Yeah, we had some basics. We had, like, like a kitchen box, bathroom box, and we had, like, bedding and stuff like that.
Okay, good. Did they ever explain why they were late? Or?
Nope. Not that I know of.
All right.
Yeah,
wow.
That was crazy.
Let's not give that company a shout out on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you said, there were a few weeks before school, so you didn't really have any time to...
Yeah, like I said, it was such an awkward time, because, like, it wasn't short enough to have that quick turnaround where I wouldn't, really be able to dwell on anything.
Exactly.
But it wasn't really long enough to, like, start, going out and making friends.
Not long enough to get your roots set, yeah.
Definitely.
No, yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, it was a really awkward and rough kind of time.
No, yeah.
So,
and then after that you came out here. How did you hear about Hope all the way out there?
Yeah, so I went to a CIY camp.
Yep.
In my freshman year of high school, and part of these CIY things is that they send your email out to a bunch of different colleges that are Christian colleges.
Yep.
Like the colleges that change lives thing. So we actually got an email from Hope my freshman year, just like one of those like promotional emails.
Right.
And I was like taking a look at this email, and I was like, "Ooh, this place is kind of cool. I kind of like it there." I was like, maybe I'll go." And my mom was like, "You're a freshman. What do you know?" So,
well, yeah.
Yeah, and then 4 years later, here I
did know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Huh. So now you're moving in at Hope. What was that like? That freshman transition?
I think again it was also kind of weird, but also I felt really blessed. I had an awesome roommate. We actually roomed together up until this semester, and she's off to England now.
Okay.
But she was probably the one thing that kind of got me rooted finally. It was really, really weird because my birthday's super early, so like I spent my first birthday alone.
Okay.
And I turned 18.
Yeah.
And she was really nice, and she took me out for Froyo. And like
Nice.
just like those like little acts of kindness were really what helped me kind of get planted here.
Right.
So, and then I made a lot of friends in my first year seminar and like through my classes, and then I finally started like feeling like I was part of the community here.
That you belonged. Do you still keep in contact with some of those first year seminar friends?
Yeah, actually, some of us are still really close friends. So
awesome. Yeah, because I know, speaking from when I was a student here, there's still one who I still keep in contact today who he lives here in Holland, but yeah, everyone else, we all just kind of drifted. And, like,
Yeah,
we wanted
definitely.
to, do you guys do, like, or did you do kind of reunions?
Yeah, I think we did a couple different reunions for FYS in particular. There was like one the semester after, like that spring semester,
Yep.
where we like all got pizza, and then after 1 year, she asked some of us to like come back to her new FYS and kind of like talk with them about like what life was like as a college student.
Nice.
So
Who was your professor for that?
Suzette Stahl. Yeah.
What department?
She is actually. Oh, I'm trying to think of what the department name is. I'm so sorry, Suzette. I'm so sorry. No, she's really awesome. She does like she does tutoring kind of things and like the academic like specialty kind of office.
Okay.
Yes, I know there's a name for it. I
The
just can't
Academic
think of it.
Success Center?
Yes, there we
Yeah,
go.
okay.
So she works there, as well as kind of an FYS professor. So
That's kind of different.
it is a little different, but I think it's also really cool.
That is
'cause,
really
like,
cool. Especially
you
in that.
you get like a direct access
Exactly.
point, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And I'm glad that you were able to keep in contact with everyone too.
Yeah, me too.
And- Wow. Now I'm kind of, because my group never met after that. So it's like I'm kind of jealous, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, I guess after your, basically sophomore year on, now that you've gotten settled in and you're making friends, you're making these connections, what was that like, kind of getting back into the swing of things of actual college?
Yeah. So I like I said a little bit earlier, I was in Japanese 300 as a freshman.
Right.
Our class was so tiny. It was me and two other students, and then the professor.
Wow.
We met in his office.
Wow.
So I kept on doing that. Like during my sophomore year, I took 400, which is like a translation course. It was really hard, but it was really fun too.
Good.
And so I started, making a lot of friends in the Japanese department, and I still had some of my close friends from FYS. And,
Right.
Just people I had met doing other stuff around campus. And I also I was part of swing club.
Okay.
And I'm actually now, technically speaking, I'm the vice president.
Okay.
But it's just kind of like a leadership thing,
Right.
Like a group.
Yeah.
So that was also where I got a lot of my friends as well.
Nice.
So yeah, and at this point I had started a job on campus, and so that was good. And yeah. So
What job were you working at?
I worked at concessions for about 1.5 years, and I actually am starting to work at the Klooster Writing Center downstairs this semester.
Nice.
So yeah.
How do you think that will be?
I think it'll be really great.
Yeah.
I have a few friends that work there.
Okay.
They sing high praises of it. And everybody that I've talked to who's worked there has loved their job, so I'm really excited for it.
That's what I've heard. And I know actually the last interview that I had was with Mark Lewison.
Oh yeah, I remember. I listened to it a little bit, yeah.
So, hey, you guys are kind of in good hands down there, I'd say.
Yeah.
But, no, that's awesome. So, what was concessions like?
It was good. I mean, for me personally, food service will always be hard because, you gotta, have those, people skills. But it was a fun time. There's a lot of good people working there.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of hurry up and wait.
Right.
But once things got rolling, it actually was pretty fun.
Right. Now, I don't know how you guys split it up. Was there, a group that worked solely football, a group that worked solely basketball, or were you guys just on a rotating schedule?
Yeah, so we were on a rotating schedule.
Okay.
generally we would work maybe a shift or two a week during like football season. Because it's so busy.
Right.
And usually each shift is about 4 or 5 hours.
Right. Yeah.
So we all kind of like rotate out on those.
Okay. Yeah, because that would just be once a week, and then once you get, basketball and the big volleyball games and stuff like that,
Yeah.
then you get more. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you spoke a little bit about volunteering when you were younger. Has that translated over? Have you found opportunities here to do that?
Yeah, so most of the volunteering that I did as a little kid was kind of more childcare based. So like I helped volunteer at the 3 and 4-year-olds classroom at my church. My mom actually ran a nonprofit for several years for single mothers.
Awesome.
It was called Eve's Daughters.
Okay.
It was really an amazing service, and it actually ended in 2016, I believe. But like while it was running, it was a really fun experience. We would have monthly dinners for the moms and their children, and so I would help look after the children while the moms, ate and conversed and everything. And there was like some special events where we had like a spa night, and then we had Harvest, which was like an indoor market type situation. We had like a concert at one point, so it was really fun.
Wow.
And so coming into college, I didn't do as much volunteering during college.
Right.
But I did do CASA my first semester.
Okay.
And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
All the kids there are delightful.
They're awesome.
They're so cute. And I was really sad because after that, I hadn't had time in my schedule to fit it in, and it made me really sad. But it was definitely a really great opportunity.
It really is. Did you do Time to Serve?
I did not.
No? Oh, you missed out.
Oh, man.
I mean, you at least had heard of it at that point, right?
Actually, no.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really know what that is.
Oh, well, okay. Man, I'm surprised they didn't talk about that when you first started.
Yeah, I don't really, well, I mean, it was my first semester freshman year, so I don't really remember a lot about it, but, the name doesn't ring a bell.
Wow. So, I guess, for you and for everyone listening, Time to Serve is, I believe they only do it in the fall, but it's for the incoming freshmen to help get out there and volunteer at different places. So
yeah. Okay.
So when I did it, we went down, I can't remember, it might have been down 10th Street, going out towards Collin Park at a place called My Brother's House it was like an adult home for the mentally handicapped. And we did landscaping around there. But I know people did like Habitat for Humanity sort of stuff and just all these different area places. But it was cool because you're with people you don't know. You're with, the people who are like your group leaders. You don't know them.
Yeah.
So it's just a really cool way to connect and get to know everyone. But
yeah, definitely.
Wow. Kind of, because I was expecting when you said you did all the volunteering and stuff, I was expecting you to say, oh yeah, I went here and did this, but no. Wow, okay. Well, let's see. Is there like a Japan club kind of thing here?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different kind of events that go into kind of like the Japanese department.
Okay.
Japan Club has recently been kind of remade.
Okay.
So that started up, I believe, last year. And again, because of scheduling things, I wasn't able to make it.
Right.
But, every November we have Images, which is this cultural showcase. It's so much fun. Oh, I love doing it. It's my favorite time of the year. And then, like, in February, I think it's either February or March, we have the International Food Fair.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And we have the Japanese worship service that is once a month on Sundays. and that's a bilingual service. And then there's FIGS, which is, I believe, like every other week, that is a bilingual Bible study.
Okay.
So there's actually a ton of stuff that you can do to like get into these things.
That's really cool. Talk to me about the once a month service. What is that like?
Yeah, so it's the Japanese worship service, and it happens once a month at Western Seminary. It actually happened just yesterday.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a bunch of Japanese people and Japanese students, and then there's some other people who come in from like surrounding areas, from like Grand Rapids, and we all get together and we have this worship service. And in the past, Professor Nakajima has given sermons. Now it's this it's Bob Lanning, who's also incredible, amazing guy. Him and his wife Nancy have done a lot of stuff for the Japanese program, for the Japanese department.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really a fun time, and we always have a potluck afterwards. So we all joke it's kind of like our monthly fix of good Japanese food.
That's awesome. So now, Japanese club, that's basically just open to anybody, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. How would one go about getting more info on that? Like, who would they talk to?
At this moment, I wouldn't know exactly who to talk to, because the president is going abroad and then is graduating.
Oh, okay.
But I would probably talk to Tsuda sensei, and she would probably know more about who to talk to, or if she has information herself.
Okay. Nice. So, now that we're kind of reaching the end of your college career, generally what I would do, like if I were, interviewing a professor or a staff member, after this we would go into, all right, talk about life outside of college. Mm-hmm. Well, we can't exactly do that with you yet.
Yeah.
So I guess now we can kind of do like a hypothetical. It's going to be a two-parter. First part, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I would probably guess myself to be living in Japan.
Okay.
After graduating, I hope to teach English over there.
Okay.
Probably through the JET program or some other equivalent. And so being able to live and work there would be really amazing.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger goals of mine.
Yeah. And then kind of go 10 years from that, so 15 years out from now. What do you see happening?
15 years is a while.
That's a very long time, I know.
So, I don't know. It's really interesting. Like, I can see so easy, like, myself in 5 years, but 15 years is so much different.
Right.
I guess if I'm not still in Japan, then I would probably be back in the States, and I might get, like, a teaching certificate here and maybe teach Japanese or teach ESL in a different thing, or do tutoring or something like that.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, to wrap this up, gonna do another 2 things.
Sure.
First, I want you to write a letter to, normally I would say your college freshman self, but let's take it further back since you're a student and go back to your high school freshman self.
Ooh, high school freshman. Ooh, all right. I would say at this point, learn to be okay with who you are. Like, you don't have to love yourself, and it will take a really long time, but learn to be okay with yourself. You have a passion, and right now you're only experiencing it on the surface level. So keep exploring that. Don't let go of it. And, like, even though your interests may change over the years, like, you're still gonna have that passion. And I know it seems like so far off, but you do eventually get to go to Japan. It does happen, and it is every bit as wonderful as you think it will be. And keep on to Sabrina. She's a good one. she's been my best friend for several years, and
Okay.
even now into my early 20s, she's still been my best friend.
Right. Good.
So, yeah, just keep your passion with you.
Exactly.
So,
Good. And then the last thing before we wrap it up, I want you to rate your life so far on a scale of 1 to 5.
oof.
So 1 being, this is nothing like I imagined it would be. I've had all these things happen to me that I never first saw would happen. Or 5 being, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
I would say solid, like 3.5.
Okay.
Because, like, so much of my life so far has been led by, this passion for Japan.
Right.
And, I have had this plan to, like, go to college, graduate, have a major in Japanese, and then go out into the world and teach English.
Right.
And, like, on that front, like, it has happened pretty much exactly as I had wanted it to, which is really incredible. But on the other hand, there's, like, so many experiences that I never thought I would have, like, going on major, meeting all of these wonderful people in college, and, like, having all of these experiences.
Yeah.
Like, these are, like, I never expected to move from Oregon.
Right.
And, I've never expected to have such a great time at college. So
Okay.
it's been good to have, like, some constants and then some variation as well.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. Wow. I feel like normally when I ask people that, I get one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of nice to find a middle ground.
Yeah, definitely.
But, no, yeah, well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much.
I know you've got a pretty busy evening from the sound of it from what you were saying in your email. But, no, yeah, again, thank you for reaching out. I'm glad you saw that ad.
Yeah, Hope
And
Marketplace, it does wonders.
It really does. And I will be reaching out to your professor soon enough.
Yeah, sounds good.
And if you're all right, I will use this episode as well. Kind of, here's what the show's about.
Yeah, of course.
And so, guys, next time you hear from me, I might be saying, hey, I'm speaking with a class soon, or something along those lines. I will keep you posted. But until then, this has been the Tales of Hope podcast. You know where to find us. Facebook, just search Tales of Hope podcast. Instagram and Twitter, @Tales of Hope pod, all lowercase, just one word. YouTube, Tales of Hope podcast. Also, I forgot to say at the beginning, the big one, you can find us on anchor.fm/Tales of Hope, or just go on the Anchor website or the app, search Tales of Hope. Through them, you can also find us on places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox. Almost anywhere you can find podcasts, you will find us at. So give us a listen, give us a rating, give us a review, do whatever you need to do. Also email the show, storiesofhopepod@gmail.com. And I forgot to say, I will leave a link to it in the description, but I have made a website for both this podcast and my second one, Busted Sports. You can find that at this very long URL that I will not say on here, and rather just have you guys look in the description for. Also, you can find it on the social medias for both shows. So, as we always say when we wrap it up, you can be a college student about to graduate and enter the big world like Emma. You can be a college janitor like myself. You can be a professor. You can be a chaplain. You can be a coach. You can do all those things. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you are at in your life. You have a tale to tell. You matter. And on this show, we tell your tales. This has been Nick, and I will see you guys next week.